Hello. I see the room is a little bit empty. There's some development talks. So I guess people have solved all their legal issues. Even though I think that, at least from my professional experience, most of the projects come in a very late stage to me, and then they are seeking for an overnight solution. Like, we raise so much money, or we would like to raise it next week, and how can we do it? And please save us. But first, I would like to welcome all of you to Split and to Croatia, especially those who have traveled from far away. I'm really proud of Blockchain Hub Split, and they're doing a good job. And I hope in future we can see even more people joining, and maybe it would be even more important that we have some policy makers here, because they're the one who will shape crypto industry in this country. My name is Sonja, and I'm actually from Croatia. I work as a lawyer for 12 years. For the last 3 years, I'm involved in crypto community. I would say that the projects I work with are quite ambitious, not just 100% crypto, and they're not trying to make some products like software. They want to change the world. They want to change the governmental system. One of these projects is BitNation. I don't know if you heard about it. It is a decentralized, borderless, voluntary nation. It is a movement which started 4 years ago, and for the 3 years they're trying to spread their idea of creating alternative system for governance. They found me last year, and I engaged myself as much as I can for the blockchain products, and one of the products that BitNation will have is a blockchain marriage. And one of my assignments is that I have to challenge the existing jurisdictions in a way that I have to present what blockchain marriage is to governmental institutions, and for instance, to come to tax office and ask for deduction. Of course, I don't expect that it will be an easy job, but we have a quite ambitious plan, and we will start from blockchain most favorable jurisdictions, like Switzerland or Gibraltar, or Estonia in Europe for start. And we also have blockchain notary. That means that we are creating hash of the document, which is proof of existence. We are still dealing with the proof of identity and how we will approach, but definitely it will have to be from each jurisdiction to present it in a way that they start thinking about it and to embrace the idea. Of course, notaries will not be happy that we are trying to steal their work, but in the long term, maybe in 5 years from now, I hope I will be able to talk with a greater success about BitNation. I also work for Liberland. I don't know if you heard about it. It is the most liberal country in the world, which is for the last 3 years in a virtual phase, because we have a problem with Croatian authorities that they are not allowing people to enter the area. And we have 50 court cases, and we have challenged them from level 1, and at the moment we are at Constitutional Court, and we plan to go to European Court, because we have idea that freedom of movement is one of the rights that have to be protected, and that the case has its value. So my today's topic actually is, of course, ICOs, which are very popular, as you all know. In Switzerland, they say that everyone, even their dogs, are doing ICO. And I don't know, I can't remember when was the last week that someone didn't call me, like, we're doing ICO, please help us. So I have a lot of different clients. And I notice a lot of similarities that everyone would like some kind of solution that I present them in a way that will be sustainable in the long term. As we know, regulations for ICOs are still unclear. There is no any relevant case law or consistent legal doctrine. But what we know for sure is that there is substantially less investor protection, especially compared with traditional security markets. And that, of course, brings us to much greater opportunity of scams and manipulation. While I was sitting here, actually, I found out that for Liberland ICO, which we plan to have maybe by the end of this year, that someone actually published ICO page today, and that some people already invested money, and nobody knows who did it. So at the moment, after I finish with my speech, I will have to go deal with this. Yeah, they just sent me a message like $20,000 just came, super great. Yeah.
We're sending a SWAT team.
So, as you all who are here present, I suppose everyone is involved in a crypto world and reading on daily basis things from news, and this is mostly the way how we learn and trying to detect what is the future. Crypto community has really grown to the levels that we have numbers like only CoinMarketCap lists like 1,500 coins. We have 12,000 coins, tokens registered on Waves platform, and on Ethereum network we have 68,000 tokens. And these numbers are really incredible. I say that it's like Kickstarter on steroids. So something has to definitely happen, because it's a Wild West. You can see this is just numbers to show you what is going on for the last 3 years and where we are now. And it seems that just this last month, it's quite bad. Few of ICOs I talked with have really raised the lowest since the beginning of ICOs, even though maybe my data is to 10 days ago. I didn't check what happened by today. But as nicely said recently in one article that I read by IMF chief, that most of the projects will not survive the process of creative destruction. I'm really hoping that people are not doing ICOs just because it's a hype, but we all can conclude that everyone just wants to earn money and deliver nothing. One of my examples which I like using is like useless Ethereum token, which they directly published our token is nothing, we don't want to deliver anything, and they managed to get in first day $100,000. So whatever else you do, I don't know how you can get it in one day. So, and also another example, I know you all heard about a lot of scams. But for instance, this Prodium from Lithuania, they had vegetables on blockchain. And I'm comparing it with our BitNation project, which unfortunately didn't raise as planned. But it seems that people are more interested to put vegetable on blockchain rather than to think about their future, about their freedom and freedom of choices. One more example, Tezos, who raised really a lot of money in few hours, maybe even more than 200 million. And then after that, we can see lawsuits coming from United States from investor who only put one Bitcoin inside at the time when Bitcoin was, I think, less than $2,000. And it's a bad marketing. So what they did, actually, the whole story, if you read just from the news, I also read the complete lawsuit, is that they just met some random person in Zug, because one of the requirements for Swiss jurisdiction to establish entity is to have a board member which has Swiss residency. And they met someone and they put in the board membership, and this person has created all this drama. So how will they get out of it? I don't know, but definitely it's a challenge. Even though they raised a lot of money, they didn't have any progress on their platform, and people are wondering what will happen with their tokens. So there is a lot of bad stories. But fortunately, we have guardian angels, I call them, ironically, which are, I suppose you all know who they are, and most active in the ICO, observing at the moment, but getting definitely more active. And this year is significantly different from the last year. Security and Exchange Commission now allows that you can have security tokens and exemptions in a way that I would say that people maybe think, okay, I will go for exemption because there is this rule 506D, but that means that you can only have accredited investors. And most of the people who you talk to, they don't even know what means accredited investors and how will you approach to have your market target. And the other rule is that you can have 35 of normal people. So this is not then quite easy to get some unlimited amount of money. Yeah, I think some of the previous also mentioned Lambo, and I just want to tell that it's not just about the regulations, it's about our position as investors to be somehow, to have common sense and reasonable enough to know what triggers us to invest and how should we approach the project to know, because everyone is just expecting that $500 will turn into Lambo by the end of this year, hopefully. And I don't believe that it will happen. So, first and foremost, most important issue for defining crypto business is to choose proper jurisdiction. What we have is a competition of jurisdictions, and as we know, some of them are very against crypto or ignoring it. Or for instance, I read yesterday that the Satoshi Conference Summit in Delhi was cancelled because of Indian authorities. So we can say for now in Croatia we are then lucky that we can at least have crypto conferences. If it goes in this direction, we don't know. Each and every jurisdiction is free to decide how will they regulate crypto. In spring 2018, to say which are most favorable and which I try to suggest to my clients, of course, it depends on the wishes. And money they want to invest in their pre-ICO phase. But still, United States has the biggest statistics. Of course, they're the biggest country. But the ICOs are mostly registered in Puerto Rico, in Delaware, and Wyoming. After that, maybe we can mention Switzerland, which is very interesting. We all know that they're most advanced decentralized system in the world, neutral since forever. And their attitude towards crypto is quite open. You can hear when you come to Zurich to summit, they have no problems by inviting authorities and people from the bank, and they're trying to have some warm atmosphere and communication, what are the challenges and how to solve it. Because if you know, it is still impossible to open in Switzerland bank account if you're doing any crypto business. You have to go at least to Liechtenstein, but if you have good lawyers in Switzerland, otherwise you will never get it. I'm sure you all heard about Canton Zug. There is like 300 startups, and what they said recently that they are actually wondering who are all these people, because maybe there is like 15 companies actually present in Switzerland. And this is what bothers authorities in a way, because they have to change immigration rules, because people are all working remotely, and some of them are not allowed to come work or stay in Switzerland, because they have high criterions to get these temporary licenses or even more longer ones. But there is also one small, I think it's not canton, it's in Canton Ticino, it's called Municipality Chiasso. They want to compete with Zug. They want to call themselves Cryptopolis. And they even raised the level of tax which you can pay in Bitcoin. Maybe just a little, like 15, 20 francs more than in Zug, but they're trying to attract people. So if you're interested in Switzerland, don't investigate a little bit Chiasso as well as Zug. Also, in Europe, For instance, Estonia and the United Kingdom have recently established licensing. So in Estonia, before you establish company, you have to go through very thorough due diligence. That means that each and every person who wants to be shareholder will be completely investigated, and it lasts approximately 30 to 60 days. But after this, you can completely operate in Estonia without any worries or any potential headaches. There's two types of licenses. One is for exchanges, and this also includes ICOs, if ICOs take fiat money, but most of them are focused just to take Ether. The other one is also if you have company which is making wallet. The very same is for UK. So this is why the reason why people actually, some of my ICOs as well, by my advice, went to offshores, and some of them asked me, like, will it be like a bad rating and bad marketing because we are now on Seychelles or Bermudas, British Virgin Islands, there is like really, you can see a lot of them. But I say Coca-Cola has established office in British Virgin Islands, and then they established daughter company in Luxembourg, and through this company they're operating all other daughter companies in the world, and they have zero tax and send their all profits to British Virgin Islands. So I think we small companies and startups shouldn't be worried too much about being labeled wrong. If you have a good product, if you focus on your marketing, and if you have good legal structure, you will not have so much problems. But the problem is about products mainly. And this is where you can see that a lot of things is just, I call it a thin air, like what is a token? Most of the people cannot even define what is token, and then I say it's like thin air. And then we come to the topic that already was mentioned before, and that most of people are interested, like, is it a security? Or is it a utility? And I think the speaker before me said that there is like, I didn't hear about that, nor I would advise in this direction, that you have to create product within 1 year. In Switzerland, FINMA gave like direct instruction that the utility token is token which can be used on your platform in the moment of sale. So when you're launching your ICO, when you're signing contract with your investors, you have to have your product ready. Otherwise, it's not utility. But most of the, not most, I would say like 100% of tokens on the market are securities. People are labeling, of course, and trying to put on some characteristics that would make them to be utility. But unfortunately, it has passed, because we are still under the radar and it's a wild west without regulations. But it's slowly changing, and I expect by the end of this year that it will be completely regulated. So if you think that you can make utility token, please send me white paper. I would really like to see some useful utility tokens. So what do we have to do additionally in ICO, and what is some kind of documents that I have to prepare? What is most important is the agreement with investors. I somehow joined the industry trend of creating contract in which I'm selling utility tokens, which are giving no rights. They're not equity, bonds. They're not giving any dividends or intellectual property, voting rights. So what are they then? What are they buying? And then when most of the projects are excluding US market, I somehow try to think, and like, when you put so much disclaimers, if I sign agreement, I accept the terms that I'm not buying any rights, and that I'm completely dependent on the project's success. Why would then United States and SEC have any kind of jurisdiction? especially if my company is registered outside of US. But I see it's a trend, and I didn't see any ICO recently that have excluded US citizens. So just think about it. I don't know. Of course, every lawyer will advise you differently, but this is some kind of opinion that I'm trying to understand. Why are people doing it? And you can even register with SEC. Each of us can put input in Form D and apply that it's a security, and that's it, if this is enough. But what is jurisdiction actually? That means that the case, in case it comes to some kind of procedure, that this country will be the country of the process. So, for instance, like in Tezos, they initiated court procedure in California. This will never go through. So they have to come to Switzerland. Each and every investor have to engage lawyer in the country, because only in each jurisdiction, lawyers of these jurisdictions are only entitled to represent in front of court case. So I also cannot help people. I can advise them, and I have network of good lawyers in each jurisdiction, because I think this is most important, to provide complete service, because each and every jurisdiction, of course, has its own. And I advise everyone to explore it well and to make due diligence and find good partners, and not to rush into the project just to get the money. And that would be it. If you have any questions, I will just say I take clients. I don't answer questions.
Hey there. So I wanted to ask you a question about the utility tokens and how we make them usable in our system. As you said, you have to have a product even before you crowd sale.
Yes.
On the other side, during a crowd sale, it's a very bad practice to have your token actually tradable, because it basically creates secondary market, and it allows for probably bad practices like it just lowers the price of your value. So the time of the crowd sale is actually a gray area where you both need to make your token usable, but you still cannot make it usable because it's going to create a secondary market. So what's your advice on this topic?
I think that definitely you should focus what can be potential worst case scenario. If you don't have any product during the sale, how can you guarantee that the regulations which will come afterwards will not be retroactive, and that you will be charged for putting securities or similar? And I mostly advise that if you are developing platform, it doesn't have to necessarily create a secondary market. Depends on the project. It's like we have for now in practice, people are just saying it's a security or utility. There is like I said, numbers at the beginning. In 68,000 tokens, there is like much more categories and a lot of hybrid models, which will be combinations and combinations of regulations which will apply to them. So it's not so easy. So we are only now talking yes, no. So it depends on the project. FINMA in Switzerland, they take case by case and they evaluate. And what is also important actually, when you want to be listed at exchanges after the ICO, at least the big one will not do it if you don't deliver official legal opinion that your tokens are utility tokens. And they only accept certain law firms that are giving it. People also tend to forget this, and they want to be listed as soon as possible, and then there is no legal opinion. So try to go to lawyers before, try to go to authorities before, to save from potential issues, even though I should maybe advising differently, because I will have more work if you come afterwards.
What's stopping people just creating a dummy product, just so that they can then have the ICO?
What stage?
What's stopping people just creating a dummy product, like a non-real product, so they can have the ICO.
Absolutely nothing.
So,
But do you mean with FIDMA, with Switzerland?
yes,
No, they have clearly stated that the product has to believe and has to work. Has to be a function.
It has to be completely operational.
Yeah,
You have to show the product. You have to have your application which is functional.
they are clever people.
Again, this is really easily circulated. I created 3 products. One which is a minimum viable product, launch it and say, okay, you are talking.
But they're very clear about that. A minimal viable product is not enough
Yeah.
to be a fully functional platform, according to your white paper or your specification. And they're going to
Future promises are not accepted. So if you have platform, your token, you have to show how your token works.
This is exactly what I mean.
But this is new thing. This just came in February. It's like 2 months ago, and I just have expectation that most of jurisdictions, at least in Europe, will copy that. But then you will go to offshore. Yeah. Here. Hmm? What is that?
Yeah, I live in Zug, so I've been following this, and I think that the FIDMA is taking a very progressive approach, and they say also that the token can be different things through its lifetime. So, for instance, you can rise an SEO with a token before having a product. This will be a security token. You have to run a KYC during the SEO, and when the platform is already live in the mainnet, this token will be an utility. So you can do many things with that. So I think that the right thing is you, as you said, really, it's a really good advice. Go to hire a really expensive Swiss lawyer, you want to go to Switzerland to do the SEO, get the best advice you can, and just follow the rules. That's the best way to proceed, and you will find that the people there is really supportive to
Yeah.
Jurisdiction that is my voices. Or to find another jurisdiction that is a little bit more lenient and something like this. I mean, the good thing about this is it's still very early, and a lot of countries, including Slovenia and Croatia, are just getting interested in the whole thing.
Yeah.
One question on top of this is I don't understand the legal reasons why utility token, or why you cannot give this rule.
I didn't hear you well. Can you please repeat?
What is the practical reason that a utility token, if it needs to be a utility token, it needs to have a product first?
Well, I think this is just like government's work. This is their way to destroy the pet of the tokens, and this is the way how to control it. They just put rules. It's not our rule. It's not that we want to do it.
Understood, but the rules need to have some sort of logical reasoning behind it. That's how laws are created. I mean, I was thinking maybe there is some rationale behind it that can be certain.
Well, they just want to tax securities, and if they label everything as a security, I think this is the reason enough. And when you have security, and when you have to deliver a prospectus, this prospectus, how it's defined in EU directive, that it has to be easily analyzable and in easily analyzable and comprehensible form. And please show me one white paper which is like that. And because the prospectus has to be approved by competent authority. And when it comes to this level, I don't know if white papers in such form without business plan will be approved.
I mean, this kills the sole purpose of an ICO, the reason why to have
Well, it will come to some hybrid model. We expect that overnight the governments will come to some embracing completely decentralized system. It has to be some hybrid path in which we will combine things from traditional securities, and it is about us to each of us who is actually active in some kind of crypto community in your country, you can have initiative and you can communicate with your government. In Switzerland, it's incredible when you compare it with most of jurisdictions, how openly, how persistent they are, and in few years, where did they come? So each of us can be engaged in this direction.
So my question is that you said by the end of 2018, we'll have some sort of regulations for the ICOs. So with regard to Europe, do you think there'll be one standard model that all countries will abide by that standard for the ICOs, or will it be like the law system where every country will have their individual ICO standard?
I think that it's a direct competition of jurisdictions, because once they recognize the potential benefits / tax coming in, then they will try to attract people. Because it's about now, each of us wants to choose the best jurisdiction, and of course with the least possible tax to pay. Even though it's not yet categorized, like what will be the level on tokens, but we can compare it with dividends or with security regulations. It will not be so much different.
So there'll be one standard?
No, I say each country will define it. Yeah. Of course, it will be a lot of copycatting, but we cannot know for sure. That's it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
You can ask me privately whatever you want to know more.
One final question. Sorry. I understood you were a lawyer in Croatia previously, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we have two ICOs currently being prepared in Croatia, which are both currently considering doing it on a Croatian registered company. They all. One of the topics that came up is how do you introduce in your books the ETH, ethers that you have acquired during the ICO? Do you have any experience on that?
Not in Croatia. No. I would not. I know that our tax office only gave statements about trading of cryptocurrencies, and when exchanging that it will be taxed with 12%. But how to present? You cannot present ethereums in the wallet, and where to put it into accounting? I'm not.
In the company books.
Yeah. I don't know where to put it in.
Sorry, you're running into a very limited time.
Yeah.
That's the point. Problem or an opportunity.